Here's a scenario. It's sometime in the evening. You and your wife, you guys are fighting. You've been fighting. The talk, it escalates to a shouting match when suddenly she drops the D-bomb on you. She wants a divorce. The shouting, now it suddenly stops and you listen. You listen to what seems like hours, maybe even days, as she lists all of her grievances on you. She's unhappy, she's been unhappy, and she's got your full attention now. As you attempt to get her to calm down and reassure her that things are gonna change, she says the two words that you never want to hear put together in an English language: too late. But you two have kids together, meaning that, like it or not, you're gonna have ties with her for decades to come. How will you and her communicate from now on? I mean, it was hard enough when you guys were together as a couple, but now, to do this? When it comes to getting your way, there are many tactics that we can use. One can persuade, one can manipulate, or even one can communicate through silence alone. As Martin Luther King said, in the end, it's not the words of our enemies that we remember, but the silence of our friends. Great communication is the essence of emotional intelligence. It brings out the best or the worst in us. Question is, what is an appropriate way to get your point across? And if so, what is the best method to use? Let's find out, and let's start revving that engine. Before beginning today's topic, let me begin with a brief introduction. I'm Renee and I'm a divorce coach. If you're going through a divorce, saying that you're scared, it's an understatement. There's so much unknown. Will you be okay? Why does she really want this? Will you ever love again? And the shame of it all. Everything, it just hits you at once. Every other problem you had up until today is now minuscule because this is your adult problem now. Communication between the two is broken down. You shout at the top of your lungs to one another. Talking, it's really yelling. You say some hurtful things, and some, including yourself, remember, including yourself, may resort to even manipulation. Couple that with the odds being stacked against you in a court as well. You're a male. You're going to need some help. If you're going through a divorce, join our free and confidential Facebook group. The link is in the comment section underneath. Join a community of like-minded men to help you. Moreover, why not? Why not talk to a professional? Make a one-on-one with me. It's free and also confidential. And I can assure you that you're gonna walk out feeling a hell of a lot better than you did walking in. Make an appointment by clicking on the link also in the comment section or by clicking here throughout the video. But don't wait. Do not wait till tomorrow because tomorrow's gonna come and go and you need some very real answers today. I could say this with 100% certainty that I wouldn't be doing this if I didn't think that I was the best. It's funny how many of my videos get developed. This one stood on my computer, written, rewritten, shared with someone for ideas only to be shelved for 18 months because I wanted to make this channel more about men and their divorce. For instance, remember this video? Someone once told me that being in a bad marriage is like fucking a gorilla. You keep at it until the gorilla wants to stop. But I knew I had to somehow apply the video to the channel because the relevance was just too overwhelming. But how to be applied, that I didn't know. That is until earlier in the week. I was coaching this dad having difficulties communicating with his ex. So listen, pay close attention to this video because communication, it's an art. And by the end of this video, I hope that at least, at minimum, you think how you approach your audience, your parents, your kids, and especially your ex. There's persuasion, then there's manipulation. And when someone else is trying to get their way, it's not necessarily a bad thing. We've all been in situations where we have good intentions and try like a mother to get them to trust what you were saying, but to no avail. Persuasion, it takes some kind of sales. Now, I've worked in sales training and development for a Fortune 100 company, and the goal in sales is not about just getting the sale. Persuasion is a win-win or a compromise, and that's key because that's my philosophy when getting in clients. The problem is that often in sales, or better yet in life, to get what we want, we don't persuade, but instead we resort to manipulation. While persuasion, it's the art of coming to a mutual agreement. Kind of what mediation does. Manipulation is completely one-sided. It's a win-lose. Here's some example of what manipulation is, because often the person being manipulated is getting bullied into doing something that they don't want to do. So let me stick to the more common kind of relationship manipulation, some of which you may be doing. Here's some example. Starting with the most common one. You're going through a divorce and your ex is suddenly using your children as bait. Your ex signs one of their kids to an extracurricular activity so that way When you have time with them, you can't see them. Or your ex is asking your kids to ask you for money because mommy doesn't have any. Or your ex is dictating the terms after your divorce, such as what you can and do without her consent, like who you introduce to the kids. Now this one's classic. While married, they were unhappy with their body, so what? They ask you if it's okay if they get some kind of cosmetic surgery. 15% of the surgeries, cosmetic surgery, takes place within 6 months of the split. I've seen it to which so sick to gaslighting level. For instance, they'll work with you and they'll promise that if you promise that you're gonna give them the deed to the house if they stay. Or, I can't stay married to you with that prenup in my face. So it got cold. I had to put on something. Some guys, they have this attitude that, well, she took my heart, so she might as well have the rest. Then again, just because they're dumping you, it doesn't mean that we're not above manipulating others. Guys, we use tactics like, hey, don't forget, you took a nose and you're still responsible to me until those papers get signed. Or, remember, I got friends all over. If you go out with anyone, it's gonna get back to me. If you're doing this, understand that she left a while ago. It sucks, but the rest of the divorce now is just a formality. The end of the relationship already happened, and unfortunately, you're just being privy to this information today. So what are some traits that a manipulator would use? Guilt, for starters. Unloading responsibilities on you like, hey, you're the guy. You should be moving out. When data actually shows that, contrary to popular belief, 52% of the time the women moves out. Speaking in absolutes, like everyone knows. Or they may just lie or to uncover the truth. And one of my biggest red flags, crying to get their way. Now, these are just a few of the examples that a manipulator would use. It sucks, and basically, they're preying on you. Truth is, we're all susceptible to this because it's human. We want to continue trusting someone that we trusted at one point. We just don't want to be let down again. I'd like to say it's unintelligent, but fucking A. These acts are actually really intelligent. They're playing chess while you're playing checkers. Short-sighted? Maybe. It might be stupid, but a stupid act doesn't make a person stupid. We just finished with manipulation, but there is a more civil and less underhanded way to communicate. I guess you can say that the father of persuasion, it begins about 2,500 years ago. It was about the year 300 BC, 350 BC when Aristotle, what another? Renaissance man. I'm Aristotle. Can I tell my story? Go ahead, man. By the way, what kind of dumb name is Renaissance? Is it in the future or something? For you, actually it's the future, but for me, past. Then why did you write my character in a German accent? Ich bin nicht von Deutschland, ich bin keine Berliner. Deutsch wurde nicht erfunden zu meiner Zeit. Don't know, I totally got it out of my ass, man. No need to be a dick. I'm Greek, for Christ's sakes. So, here I was fighting with my wife Matthias the other day over what was quite literally spilled milk. She just wouldn't let us go. So I lost it. There was just no reasoning in her, and that's how I got the idea for my teachings on rhetoric or how to appropriately persuade someone. Aristotle. Va Renaissance man. René. Well, the guy was the girl's name. It's French and it means back from birth or something akin to that. René is actually a very masculine name where I'm from. And I'm from, you know what? Whatever, dude. You want to preach? Go ahead. I'm old and tired anyways. You know how hard it is to speak with a German accent with a fake beard and what's this, a fake prince wig? You gotta be kidding me, Renaissance man. I'm out of here. You know, for writing communication, you could do better yourself, man. Man, that Aristotle, quite the dick. I guess I better explain it. Now, this part you need to master. When communicating with somebody, be it your children, your parents, your boss, or your ex, how do you do it? How do you get your point across? According to Aristotle's rhetoric, there's 3 forms of communication. Pathos, or evoking strong emotion. Ethos, or the ability to be the authority in something. And logos, as in logic. So here's a quiz. Which one's the most effective? I don't care if you're Einstein, more often than not, pathos is going to win. And I'll give you an example. You're fighting with your ex, and during the fight, as often happens, she threatens you by saying, "You'll never see your kids again." Now, logic or logos, it would dictate that if your ass is a stand-up dad, this would never happen. No judge would agree to 100% custody, logically. But fear is a motherfucking motivator. They say that love is the strongest of emotions, but is it really? Here's a morbid thought. Would you kill for love or would you kill for fear? Your girl's cheating on you and you want to keep her. Most of us won't go off and murder the guy whose face she's sitting on just to keep her. But one day Pablo Escobar comes up to you and says, hey, go off this fella, get rid of him. And if you don't, here's a picture of your kids. Good looking family. Kiss them goodnight and farewell for me. Terrifying. Then there's ethos. In other words, your credibility, language, title. Why do you think I often say if you're going through a divorce to reach out? Because I have worked with hundreds of men, and an ethos is establishing that credibility. Or another way to put it is, if the president calls, you're gonna answer. Here's a scene from The Godfather Part II. It's 44 seconds long. Look at what Michael both says and implies after his wife Kay tells him that she's taking the kids. Look at how Kay reacts. Even at the 24th second of the clip, she looks down as if defeated. And on the 27th second, she kind of nods.
Michael, I'm not going back to Nevada. I brought the children to say goodbye to you.
Why don't you sit there?
No, I'm not going to stay long. I can't. I think it's too late for changes, Michael.
Okay. What do you want from me? Do you expect me to let you go? Do you expect me to let you take my children from me? Don't you know me? Don't you know that that's an impossibility, that could never happen? That I'd use all my power to keep something like that from happening? Don't you know that? I'm gonna change. I'll change. I've learned that I have the strength to change. You won't take my children.
So if your ex says that you're never gonna see the kids again, don't do what I did and try to fight with emotions. It's just not gonna work. And logic, it'll get its ass kicked. Leave that to the courts. What you do is you look at her right in the eyes and you say, what kind of judge do you think would ever allow that? Use your common sense. I'm one of the best dads that I know, and I'm gonna hire such a good attorney that by the end of this divorce, you're gonna be grateful to be granted visitation rights. It's just not gonna happen. And you leave it at that. No more arguing. Gents, when communicating or persuading, it's nearly all tact. Sometimes though, we know as to what we're gonna say. When I was in charge of training and development in pharmaceuticals and device, the C-level and marketing, they wanted me to use emotions with my clients. They wanted me to use pathos to sell to physicians, a group of very clinically intelligent and educated professionals who think scientifically. That's when I used logic and whenever you're eligible. Know your audience. Learn how to speak to your now adversary with sound bites that resonate with them. If that doesn't work and all the logic has gone through the wayside, I ask my clients to think of something their ex may fear that may be her weakness. It could be something small, whatever. Use it, but don't use it stupidly. Don't telegraph your next step. Hopefully, you develop some real fundamentals in your approach to communicating. But I'm very aware that we only scratched the surface here. If you're struggling with a divorce, again, first, join our Facebook group. In a few seconds, you're going to see this logo right here in the bottom left of the screen. Click on it. It'll take you to my site. It has the price, but know that my first appointment is free. While the results are preliminary, I'm currently conducting a study on how effective my coaching program. You could see that those not part of the program, they scored 56 in their quality of life. Compare that to 81 in those who enroll in the program. 25-point difference, 2 standard deviations. D, strongest predictor yet. Tremendous feat considering the program has only been available for just 6 months at the time of this recording, of course. Moral of the story, medical works. Hey, while you're at it, you've been at this listening to my ass for the past 13 minutes, which means that I had to make some kind of sense to you. If that's the case, throw me a like and subscribe. Subscribe, yo. Turn this number into 5,000 by the end of 2022. I know it's aggressive, but it helps in YouTube's algorithm. Now, I get a lot of DMs that show appreciation towards my video, but you really want to help? Get involved in the video, comment, like, etc. Make sure you do so. It makes a difference. Thank you very much.
I'ma wake up, do damage. Join number 7, 6, 4,
Hey, glad you're still here. Quick joke for you. How do you say wife in Spanish? Esposa. Now, how do you say handcuff? Handcuffs in Spanish. Esposa. One word, true meaning, true story. Now subscribe, mofos. Thank you very much.